napalm jelly.
Jeez.
Alright, I'm gonna do one more because I want to spend all this money on stream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play as a Barbarian King again because that went really well for me.
I like Barbarian Kings a lot.
I'm gonna get some new armor, I think, or armor and weapons before I buy anything.
Good call.
Sage Sword is lower damage but does a gold bonus. So if I wanted to focus on getting gold, I could do that.
I like that about this, that you can say like, okay, I'm buying this equipment not because I think it's better all around, but because there is a build that I'm down the road, I'm going to get this character, and really just give them the best equipment for that one type of play. And it also forces you to shake it up, right? Like you can't. There are characters who probably wouldn't be great with all vampirism gear.
I would be.
Right.
So that's really where I'm going to focus. I'm actually going to...
500 gold? How will you ever afford that?
Okay.
You have so much gold.
I have red gauntlets and a red cape, and nothing else is red. It's a pretty weird setup I have going on here.
One day.
Your clothes don't match at all, young man. Your mother would be so disappointed in your fashion sense.
I'm gonna pump another big amount into this gold gain up because that seems to be doing me well.
What's that plus 10 off the far left you haven't touched, out of curiosity?
This is Death Defy, which I believe what it does is, so it adds a 1% chance per each level up, that so up to 10%, that on a hit that would normally kill you, you will just not die. So it's a very small chance, but yeah, to me that strikes me as a probably something I'm going to save for the very end of.
Yeah, because in this game it's sort of barely scraping by in a victory, and this usually means, well, I'll just die in 10 more seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if it healed you all the way or something, then maybe.
Maybe it does. I mean, I haven't bought it or used it, so
right.
Maybe it does do something cool like that.
Okay. Balding.
I'm just going off of the very limited description that they have there.
It probably just means it negates the killing blow.
Yeah.
But that's just
true.
reaching for things. I kind of like how your character just has a hodgepodge, all these different colors of armor.
Yeah. He's pretty ridiculous looking.
People are wondering what subtweeting is in the chat.
Oh boy.
And what the context and the subtext of a subtweet is. A subtweet? Phil, you know about subtweeting, right?
I'm familiar with that as a concept.
That's when you tweet about your lunch, right?
Your
sub
subs.
sandwich.
Right. Arrogant Paragon said, I think it's when you mention someone on Twitter without using their username, and that is the case. Like, for instance, when you get out of a movie and say, hey, did anything big happen in our country? And then a bunch of people talk about how dumb Phil is without actually adding Phil Cola. That's one type of subtweeting.
That was super annoying.
I'm sorry, Phil.
To be fair, the people who were doing that were joking. It was just annoying. It was frustrating to me because I was like, oh, you guys are saying that to people who may not actually know who I am and may not actually know that I care about shit like this.
Wait, were people actually angry at you about that?
No, there were just a bunch of people who were a bunch of people on my list were making jokes to the effect of just oh, Phil doesn't give a shit about politics or anything.
Well, it's funny because most of the folks who were angry about that, a lot of folks didn't realize until, it was almost evening and the debate had already, the filibuster had already been going on for so long. So a lot of folks who were thumbing their nose at you over that probably just had about an hour of hindsight on that.
It was
so it's kind of like, guys, you're not much better. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a joke. Essentially, the joke is supposed to be because everybody, I think most people realize that I'm usually very on top of things.
Right. Especially things like that. Like, that is a thing that you would normally have been really concerned about.
But it was more like the reason that it bummed me out, because I was like, there might be people following you who don't know that I'm normally and they might like think you're being serious, that I'm like some nerd who does not care.
Pretty honest thing. I just got out of the movie. What's going on?
Yeah.
Although the timing was pretty interesting.
It was like literally the best / worst timing getting out of that movie.
Yes.
Because it was right when everything had like heated up the most, I feel like. Like literally everybody on my Twitter list was talking about the same thing, except
things were exploding.
Could have been worse. At least you didn't say, "Man, tonight's been fantastic."
What a good night!
What could go wrong?
Just dinner and a
great night for
movie.
Men of Steel.
I just got out of Superman, and he reminded me how much I love America.
And dudes.
God bless.
Jesus, right? I heard there was a lot of Jesus in that movie.
Yes.
Is there actually a lot of Jesus in the movie, or was it just they made like a Jesus sampler sermon or something associated with it?
Both. There's like
I don't think there's really much Jesus in that movie.
I've heard that like he's like straight up talking to a priest in front of a stained glass window of Jesus wearing a Superman cape.
I don't know about this. I didn't see the stained glass window. He goes to talk to a priest at one point, but it's very much like it is the most non-religious talking to a priest that I think I've ever seen.
The actual interesting thing is you know about the Warner Brothers giving money and sermons.
I have heard about that. Yeah,
that's really interesting.
The thing about it is he talks to this priest, and the priest does not give him any actual like religious advice. It was a very it was actually a weird scene for me as somebody who was like raised very religious, because I was like, that's not what a priest would say.
That's not how priests.
Like the priest's advice to Superman was, I think you should follow your gut. That's not what a priest would say. A priest would say, what is God telling you? Do that.
They quote of, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a very strange scene for sure. But it did not strike me, I will say, it didn't necessarily strike me as like something that was just put in there by the studio per se. I think it might have been something where the studio saw that scene and was like, hey, we can capitalize on this.
Yeah.
Why am I in the forest? I'm already done with the forest.
What are you doing?
I don't know what's
going
going
on. Trying to get that chest. That's what you're doing. So the
Man,
third.
why aren't these skulls leaving you alone? You already killed their boss.
They're mad. They're like, we're gonna get revenge for Skull Dad.
Oh look, there's a guy just flying around back there.
My bro, why'd you have to go kill him?
So did you like that movie, Phil, or how was that?
I thought Superman was alright.
Yeah.
I heard mixed opinions on it.
It's got very mixed opinions. I don't get. Some people really hate it. Like some people seem to actively think it's like the worst superhero movie, and that I don't quite understand that.
There've been pretty bad ones.
Yeah, like
some shitty superhero movies, man.
I think it's got problems. There are things that I think could make it better if they were changed, but I didn't think it was bad by any means.
Pixel Kaiser in the chat says Man of Steel is not for people who like Superman.
I like Superman a lot, and I liked Man of Steel. So
a good friend of mine who's a big Superman fan, or Superman stan, if you will.
Sure.
Said that it was the least Superman movie he's ever seen.
See, like that's interesting, because I have one of my friend Kim is the biggest Superman fan that I know. She like is obsessed with Smallville,
right,
and just loves Superman as a hero. She adored the movie, and she actually, the way she described it to me before I saw it was that it is the most Superman movie of all of them. Like and what she means by that is there is no Clark Kent in this movie. Like
right.
Clark Kent barely exists in this movie.
Yeah, I'd heard that. Like really, all that says is different people like Superman for different reasons, right? Like,
yeah.
For the friend who I'm talking about, my friend Art, who we've mentioned every now and then, and his thing was just like one of the defining things for him is that Superman will, as a primary motivation, minimize damage.
Sure. A lot of people complained about this.
Somehow it's sacrilegious in a sense, right? To have a Superman who doesn't do that. But I can totally see why, if you've read different stories or focused on different media of Superman, that isn't the primary characteristic. You know?
I mean, like, and that's one of those elements that I think, if if it had been handled differently, would probably make the movie better. But I also don't think that like that alone like makes the movie shit or something. It just means, you know, they focused a little bit more on spectacle, which is shocking coming from Zack Snyder. You know.
Totally. Yeah. Sure.
But no, I thought it was all right. I'm mostly just like bummed out that Warner Bros. Is so shitty about doing anything with their superhero franchises.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday on Twitter about how DC in general has just nothing lined up over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
right?
well, I was reading an article about how Marvel at this point has, you know, there's like 5 movies that they've announced that are in the works, that they've announced the names of. And then just recently they announced dates for movies that are coming out in 2016 and 2017. Dates. The dates the movie will hit the theater. Right. And they haven't announced even the names of the movies yet. Like, that's how far ahead they are planning. And I think that's awesome. Like, as a comic book fan, I'm really into that.
Yeah. But
yeah, DC's not
Warner.
doing shit. I don't know. They have nothing planned. They have, I mean, like, they are supposedly working on a Man of Steel sequel and a Justice League movie, but neither of them are like set in stone or anything.
Oh boy.
They are working on them in the very vague sense that they were working on a Flash movie and a Wonder Woman movie, and those never really materialized. Yeah.
That's a shame. Because there's definitely stories to be told with those characters. Like, I don't think that there's anything. I don't think that those characters are somehow off limits or you know, we know from the comics that there are good stories to be told about those characters in a modern setting that lots of people would enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, my thing about superhero, the reason that I like superheroes so much and the reason that I'm glad superhero movies are becoming like a bigger thing, I know a lot of people think it's reaching a point where it's like, oh, there's not going to be any interesting superhero stories left to tell and that kind of stuff, but I am of the opinion that like there are just like tons of really good, interesting superhero stories. That there's not really any like limit to that, I guess.
Right. Well, like my beef with years for superhero movies was that each one wanted to be an origin story.
Yeah.
And that's really limiting, because what makes comics work so well is that there is, even though this can go too far in the other direction, there can be too much continuity. With the right amount of continuity, you know that your audience at least knows who these characters are and understands them loosely, and you can do cool stuff with that without having to reintroduce them every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and that's why I'm so glad that the Marvel movies have focused on creating a consistent universe and have gotten as far along as they are at this point.
It sounds like maybe DC was and Warner Brothers was sort of expecting it to be a fad and to have died off by now, because the like brunt of superhero movies started quite a while ago, and I think a lot of people expected it to be a fad, and it's become sort of an enduring thing.
I think
there's been some low points for sure, but it feels like they stuck with their biggest franchises and then maybe just kind of wussed out on the others because they weren't sure how long the market was going to support it.
Yeah, I think after seeing, and that's the thing, is like after seeing Avengers come out and actually be good and do incredibly well, like that's the point where I would have expected Warner Bros. To be like, oh shit, we should probably start taking this seriously and figure out how we're going to do something like this. And the fact that they seemingly haven't is baffling to me. But Warner Bros. Is a weird place. There's from my understanding, it is a very, it's a very large organization. There are a lot of weird competing factions.
Well, I mean, plus they know they will never top the UPN original series, Birds of Prey. So maybe it was on CW by then. But
man, I actually like the Birds of Prey comics, so that bums me out.
Have you seen that show? It's pretty... it's something.
I did not see that show. Didn't they isn't it just, like, literally just a pilot?
No.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure
guys
had a season.
Did it have, like, 6 or 7 episodes, I want to say?
Oh.
Scotty B says WB is the Sony of Western film and television. Exactly. I'm gonna pray to this thing, see what happens.
Do it.
I got a compass. Oh yeah, this is what I got last time.
What is it?
I think it points the way to the boss room. in whatever zone you're in. But you don't always know how rooms connect, so it's still a little bit tricky.
Right.
Yeah.
Mads Fox is wondering how do you do a Justice League movie or a movie with Superman and other characters, because Superman is obviously so fly. Like, and like I think the answer
movie.
Guys, you do it just like you did the Avengers movie. It's super.
Or you do it.
I mean,
Right.
I shouldn't say it's super easy, but it's like Avengers prove that you can do that.
Or 60 years of Justice League comics. Right?
Or
Like,
60 years of Justice League comics, yeah.
I know that sounded really flippant. I didn't mean for it to be insulting, but like there is lots of creators have dealt with that problem, and I can see why it feels like a problem and have come up with.
And that's the thing. So like that's the thing that maybe a lot of people who dig superhero movies but haven't read the comics don't realize. Like most of the superhero movies have been, you know, like they're not direct translations of single comic stories, but they're very heavily inspired.
Hugely, yeah. Including good ones, right? Like we don't just mean like X-Men 3 was based on a shitty story arc of X-Men, right? Like even like the Nolan Batman movies are really close to very specific inspiration in the comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would argue, yeah, there are several big Batman comic stories that the Nolan movies totally draw inspiration from. Okay, I almost died there, but I didn't. We're all good.
Oren in the chat says, you guys, I've thought about it and I can't think of a superhero I like off the top of my head. And to that, I have to say Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, Deadpool obviously is the best superhero.
Yeah, well, I got theories about people who like Deadpool.
I don't know much about Deadpool other than that folks really like him and he's supposed to be funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know that
I don't follow comics. All I know is I've seen pictures of him posted at random over the years.
I know that the Polygon review of the Deadpool game was one of the higher ranking reviews.
Oh yeah. Who wrote that?
Danielle. She actually really liked it. She came around on it. She did not like it at first, but she came around on it. She said that I think what sold her on the character as he's portrayed in the game a little more is she said that she felt like the game actually treated him kind of like a fucking idiot, like in a good way, in the sense that like you're not necessarily supposed to like this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a trait: PAD, peripheral arterial disease, no foot pulse. I don't know what this does.
That's been driving me crazy. Not crazy enough to look it up, but it's been driving me crazy.
Good friend Allie says Janine's deep sighs heart. It's true.
Superheroes I like though. I it's tough because different writers write these superheroes, right? So I can say like, oh, I really liked this one long run on Daredevil, but I haven't read a Daredevil comic.
I'm
Baker was on it, so I have no idea what he's like now. So I don't want to say like I like Daredevil.
I've heard the current Daredevil stuff's really good, but
Bendis and Brubaker just did really great stuff with him back in the day. So back in the day, not that long ago, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So check that out if you get a chance.
Also, man, Daredevil is now supposedly rumored to be back under control of Marvel Studios, so he can be added to the Marvel universe.
I'm down with that.
No, I agree with you. My approach to superhero comics, for as long as I've read them, which is like, I don't know, since college, I guess, has always very much been like, I don't really follow specific characters. I follow writers that I really like.
Yeah, totally. And artists, too, sometimes. Like, I put up with the shitty book when an artist I like is on it, you know?
Yes.
Daredevil, have you seen the Daredevil movie director's cut?
I have not seen the Daredevil movie any cut, actually.
Oh, you should see both. The regular is really bad. The director's cut has Coolio in it. His part is completely cut from theatrical release.
Interesting.
And it makes the film
Who is Coolio in the Daredevil universe?
Coolio is a man who has been wrongfully accused of committing a crime. And Matt Murdock, Daredevil, spoilers, is his attorney, and that's like where the plot makes sense, because it's through investigating that part of the case that Matt Murdock finds out about the Kingpin, and all of that stuff is just gone in the theatrical release. Also, Coolio is hilarious, and those scenes come in between, like the really shitty scenes between Daredevil and Elektra, and so it kind of spaces those out and lets them breathe a little bit more instead of being really clumped together and terrible. It's still not a great movie, but
how about that Elektra movie?
Ooh.
Yeah, I feel
Don't
like...
dodge the question. How about it?
I feel like I probably should watch Daredevil at some point.
You should.
Subject yourself to it on a stream.
I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Superheroes, man. I don't know.
Here. You guys ever want to become superheroes, like in real life?
No.
I am a superhero.
What's
knew
your
it.
power?
Puns are his power.
Right.
Yes.
I was waiting. I was hoping for a pun about puns.
The loudest killer. I'm too tired for more puns, I
I
think.
gave him a few seconds, but
Me too. I even had one in mind. And
I was
didn't
kind of
want
nodding off.
Wait, what did you have in mind?
I was gonna say that he was gonna be a superhero, but somebody else already took his name. The Punisher.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really bad. See? Really bad.
That's
I
no good.
apologize. You want me to leave? I could leave.
I mean, I usually do. Janine's superpower, we all know, is her deep, dejected sigh.
Yeah.
Jordan in the chat says that he makes the distinction that I'm a magical girl, if that counts.
Yeah, I think we can count that.
I think those are superheroes too. Yeah, I don't think that's... Not all superheroes are magical girls, but I think, in my heart, all magical girls are superheroes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
Well,
fair
maybe
to say
they're
that
villains. I don't know.
Superman is not a magical girl.
I'd read
Just-
that comment
just-
in a second. Like,
There's a weird
that out there.
Elseworlds spin-off.
That was a weird year for the comics.
I'm sure that art is on the internet somewhere.
We can only hope. I'm gonna die as this character, and then we're gonna stop.
sounds good.
Because I should probably actually, if I'm gonna play any more tonight, should record actual video that I can use for my video review.
Yeah.
You just put this up. This is it. This is your video.
This is
review.
the video review, and then I'm gonna
Complete with
Bonus
Superman,
Man of
magical
Steel.
girl, and all that stuff.
slap a 7.5 out of 10, and
There it is.
that's it. Nailed it.
Good enough. Good night.
I got a Ranger chest plate. I can be wearing a chest plate made of wood also.
Nothing?
Nothing. I don't have anything either, so I agree.
I was expecting you to be more pithy than that.
You can't recycle that.
Well, now I'm using it in a different way.
No. That's not how it works.
See, I'm not a master. I'm not a pun master. I don't know how these work. It's not my genre.
What is your genre? Oh my god.
Depression. Just broken-hearted depression.
He's a depression stan, not a pun stan.
Right.
I almost got killed by a mimic there.
Oh man.
I didn't know there were mimics. Oh, whoa.
I didn't. I mean, well, I knew from watching a stream earlier, but I have not run into one ever in my playthrough until right there. So I'd kind of forgotten.
There are mimics in Neverwinter too.
Great. Let's
But
talk
no.
about Neverwinter.
Nah.
Oh, I died.
thought-
I guess we can't talk about Neverwinter. Done. Jeez.
Great.
That's rough timing.
Oh, well.
This is Rogue Legacy, everybody. You should check this out. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good video game. I like it. I'll have a review up on Polygon at some point, probably early next week.
Also, I'd like to point out that Phil's character was named Lady Chun-Li the Fifth.
Yes, that's because I've had 5 Lady Chun-Li's at this point.
Yep.
Blue chili's really good.
My name's Phil Kohler. I'm on Twitter at twitter.com/pkohler. You guys where are your stuff on the internet things?
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm Janine Hawkins. I'm at Bleeding Heart on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. And I started a screenshot blog called singleframevideogame.tumblr.com. Check that
That's
out.
pretty good. I like it.
Thank you.
I'm Austin Walker. I'm Austin_Walker on Twitter. I'm the Calcutech in the chat, and you can find my writing on clockworkworlds.com. That's it. That's all I got.
Giap is
So
all
wake
you.
up the Punisher.
Right, it's nothing like my shitty puns. It's much more like that really complicated talk about whether or not the word gay is good in this video game. It's way more academic bullshit.
We need to discuss this.
Giap, it's all you. Where are you at on the internet?
I am off to sleep. Farewell,
Let's
internet.
place.
All right, I'm gonna go do that too. Bye, everybody.